Hello everybody and welcome to another reading vlog. If you've watched my last two videos, you know that my camera has been having some problems. Not problems, user error. Honestly, there was a weird setting turned on. I didn't realize it. Nothing has sound. I'm coming to you with 50 pages left of my first book of a reading vlog that I started 2 days ago. And I had visceral reactions and I'm 95% sure it's going to be a 5-star book. And I have none of that to show for it. I am currently reading for this video 3 library books simply because I got them about a month ago. I could renew these 2, but they still have to go back pretty quick. This book, Snake Eater by T. Kingfisher, is now 2 days overdue, so I'm hoping to finish it today. I do have some stuff that I want to put in my reading journal though, because if I owned this book, it would be annotated up the wazoo already. So now I'm just texting myself page numbers for anything that I find quotable that I'm going to write in my reading journal, because I always mark down my favorite quotes from books. So the only book I've ever read from T. Kingfisher was A Sorceress Comes to Call, and I gave it 5 stars. And now it's a year and a half later and I'm picking up my second T. Kingfisher. I don't know why I do that to myself. I know that I find a good author and then I think, yeah, I'll have to read more of their books. And then I just don't. So the fact that 2 of their books have been 5 stars tells me I gotta just buy it next time. And T. Kingfisher has a lot of books, so I am in for, I think, a pleasant trip. This book is about 30-year-old Selena who is leaving and escaping the city from like kind of a traumatic experience with her partner and moving into her dead aunt's house in the desert in like this super small town. And it is weird. There was weird stuff happening. Not just because there are spirits and it merges these religions and the Catholic priest has secrets and he's not who you would expect him to be, and Grandma Billy next door, the 75-year-old woman who's just so spunky. Like, other than that, it's weird. And I can't say much more than that because it's introduced, I think, post the halfway mark and in such a smart way that it would be really rude of me to ruin it for anybody who would want to read this book. But I will say, anybody who loves weird fiction or magical realism or anything of the sort, please read this book. It is so good. It talked a lot about scorpions, which gave me the heebie-jeebies, but I was like, at least it's not cockroaches, because I watched Men in Black way too young, and now I am so afraid of cockroaches. Don't want to think about it, but then they came up and I had to take a pause and I talked to the camera about it and it's gone now, but that's okay. Not dwelling. It was short-lived, at least. Anyway, now I have 50 pages left and shit is going down. And a big part of this book is Selena's dog, Copper, who she finds home in. You can tell that Copper is her reason for leaving and moving on and living her life the way that she should. And I just love how much Copper is talked about and how much she's there. Bloody hell. Anyway, I'm gonna sit here with my latte in my last 50 pages and I'm gonna finish this book. Your tail is going though, you're so cute. Oh, looking for a toy to bring me, don't make eye contact. Can it be a ball? Oh, you want a tug? We will see. But the writing is so good and it's a really quick read. I just can't put it down. It's so good. I really tried to finish it last night and then I was just too tired and I fell asleep after 10 p.m., which is way past my bedtime, by the way. That tells you it's a good book. It's so good. And the cover's really cool, isn't it? Okay, so it's been 20 minutes since I finished the book. I know, same day. I'm just leaving the house in a few minutes here. And yeah, 5 stars. I knew it would be 5 stars. It's 5 stars. This book is so weird. Hi. You want a cuddle? Looks like it. If you know me, you know that I compare books to TV shows and movies and stuff all the time. And the first few chapters of this book really actually kind of read like an episode of Supernatural. I've only seen the first 2 seasons, maybe less than that. It got to the bug episode and I couldn't watch after that. Go figure. Maybe I should have just skipped it. But yeah, the beginning really read like a Supernatural episode. Like they would be called in to help with Selena really feels like she is learning how to be a functioning adult, learning that she's allowed to trust herself in instances where she maybe feels like she isn't, but she is still totally dealing with this trauma that she has to learn to let go of while making friends and incorporating herself into this community that she keeps saying from the beginning, oh, I won't be here long. Oh, I'm just gonna get enough money to go back home. I don't have much else to say, I don't think, but I am giving it 5 stars, a very happy 5 stars. It almost went down. The ending was maybe not what I expected, and then it got really good again. Now I'm leaving for my mom's house, but there is going to be a portion while I'm there that she has to leave for half an hour, so we're gonna take a little break. So I'm looking at these 2 books that I have. And I'm thinking I'm going to read Meet Me at the Lake. It's been a little bit since I've read a romance. If you watched my June TBR video, I guess, or the vlog where I picked this up from the library, I'm a little hesitant going into it. The reason I haven't read any Carly Fortune is because honestly the subject matter doesn't seem to appeal to me. I feel like for some reason I think there are some love triangles, but that might not be in this book. Maybe I'm gonna love it. I feel like either way it will be redeemed by the fact that it is set in Canada, and people say that her writing is really good even if the themes are maybe not to your taste. So I think I'm gonna read Meet Me at the Lake next, and I will get a bit into it and I will let you know how I feel. I literally just read the first chapter of Meet Me at the Lake, and we have Fern, and she has been called to her family resort against her will because her mom died a month ago and she left her the resort. And she's like, I live in Toronto now, this is not what I want to be doing. And we have met her ex-boyfriend Jamie, who's the manager at the resort. As much as I believed it was a love triangle, I didn't want it to be true, and it is. We've already had someone come in who I think is someone who she's also dated in the city. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try not to let my biases get in the way about love triangles and past and present timelines, because chapter 2 says June 14th, 10 years ago. Love triangle is my least favorite romance trope, and past and present timelines, unless they are done very well, I don't really like them. So I'm hoping everyone's right and the writing makes up for those 2 things. You never know. I think I might be being too negative, but it starts on Canada Day, which is like less than a month from today. So it feels like the right time of year to be reading it, at least. I know that it's a summer book, but at this point, I'll just keep reading. And I will let you know thoughts that are hopefully good thoughts. I'm going to try not to be too negative. Hopefully good thoughts tomorrow. I think that I may have spoke too soon. I have now read 4 chapters. It's the next day. I didn't read much longer after my update yesterday, but now I've read 4 chapters and I'm gonna keep going for a while here, and I'm really enjoying it. I love the setup. Every chapter is ending with me wanting to read more, so that's really good. The then and now timeline so far I'm okay with. It's only gone back in time twice, but it hasn't bothered me, so that's good to know. I'm less dreading the rest of it. Here's the new problem. It is kind of a love triangle-esque. And when we go to the past, 10 years ago, she and Will, this guy who came into the hotel 10 years later, both have partners, and they've decided to spend the whole day together, and he's going back to Vancouver and she is going back to Muskoka after this little date day. And I don't know how to feel about that. They're like 22, so they're old enough to know better. Yeah, so that's bothering me. I'm just gonna keep going. I hope things get better. Obviously, it's good to have conflict and morally gray characters, but love triangles, cheating, and past and present timelines always get to me. So I'm interested to see how I feel about this book. But so far, better than I expected, and that is a great sign. I'll get as much of this done this weekend as I can. It is date night tonight, so not gonna read all night. I'll read until that starts for about 2 hours. All right, time for the 100-page update. I'm about a third of the way through, just about to start chapter 10, and oh my goodness, I am really enjoying this book. It is less love triangle than I expected, so I appreciate that. It's very clear who the actual love interest is. The other person, Jamie, I can just say it because it's so clear from the beginning, doesn't really play a part in the book, at least not up to this point. I'm sure he'll come up a bit more in the past point, but for now, not so much there. And then there's this other part with her friend Whitney, who she says is her best friend, but they kind of are really snarky towards each other, and she never really speaks that highly of her. So I'm curious what happened there. I know that she references a past fight and things never quite being the same after that, but it seems like it's been a decade and their relationship is still weird, which just seems a little bit out of place to me. I don't know, maybe it will all come together. There are a lot of secrets. We know that she had found a secret out about her mom and got enraged and then acted out in a specific way that we don't know about yet. It's just, I had a meltdown and this was the outcome, but we don't actually know what that meltdown entailed yet. But everybody in her small town knows, and everybody who was already at the resort and still has gone for the last decade knows, and Will knows, and Jamie knows, but we don't know. I don't always love that, but it's working so far, as long as it doesn't take forever to find out. And Will also has a secret because he was supposed to meet with Fern and never showed up and says, "You wouldn't have liked me," and we don't really know much else about it. I think the writing is really excellent. I am loving the characterization. I feel like I know these characters, and I think that I can envision this resort that they're staying at right now. Hi, buddy, come on up. And I didn't expect so much reference to Vancouver. They're talking about Stanley Park and Gastown and all these places that are like an hour away from me. I don't get that a lot from books, so that's actually really fun. I love reading Canadian books simply for that reason. Guys, I have read less than 100 pages since my last update, and I have a surprising amount to say about this book. So it was a then and now timeline, which it still is, but now there has been the introduction of one of her mom's diary entries in between each of the then and nows, which is very interesting. I think it's going to lead to maybe her finding out who her dad is, and it's definitely going to lead to why she had a mental breakdown, because she explains at the very beginning of the book that it happened because she read her mom's diaries and she wishes maybe sometimes that she didn't do that. But so far it's like a little mini love story in 1990 between her mom and her mom's best friend. Something else that I really like about the book and the writing is that it's single POV. I realize every single time I read a romance from one point of view how much I love it. I always prefer an unreliable narrator, so everything we know about Will is through Fern's eyes and through what he's told her or what she perceives of him, and he still manages to be a dynamic, convoluted character, and I think that is so well done. I love it every time. I honestly do. As much as I love a dual POV, it also always tends to come with, if it's a hetero relationship, the male POV just saying something gross about the woman's body. Always. It gets just a little bit more lusty than I would like. And something else that I love about it is, at first I was like, we're not getting enough of Fern in the now and her personality. We're getting more of Will's because that's what she sees. But I'm okay with that, I think, because I'm also realizing she is feeling so much grief. Her mom has died like less than 2 months ago. So everything she feels has this aspect of grief to it, and she's also very vulnerable because of it, where she is finding it hard to hide her emotions in every sense, and I kind of love it. And Will is not taking advantage of it, and he is one of my favorite male main characters I've read in a very long time. Partly because of that, but also because of just the way that she sees him. I see him. I need to put my foot in my mouth for all the things that I was saying before I started this book. It is so good. And I think the last thing I have to say is I love the romantic aspect of this idea that they met for one day 10 years ago. They kind of are picking up where they left off. As much as they tried not to, it's hard for them to ignore this feeling that they had a decade ago, that they kind of are inevitably pulled to each other. I'm still hating the idea of emotional cheating, because they did emotionally cheat. We're at the point where some of the things that went on 10 years ago on that day, if I knew that my partner had done that, I would break up with them. So I'm struggling with that part, but I also don't know how it ended, so I don't want to speculate too much. But if that cheating part wasn't a part of it, I do love the idea of how romantic it is that for 10 years they've kind of been soulmates without seeing each other or talking to each other. It seems like maybe they compared every relationship, at least Fern did, that we know of, and it seems like Will is the type to too, comparing every relationship to this person and this ideal that they held in their head. And it's kind of like, whether it works out or not, they have to see where it goes so that they can stop doing that in the future. And I think that that is a very romantic idea, and it's like what movies are made of, right? All those romances. So I do love that part of it. I have about 100 and something pages left, maybe just about 100. I am a little bit concerned with what this third act conflict will be, because now the tension has broken and they're just not communicating in the way that I would want them to, but it makes sense for the type of relationship they have, but I hate miscommunication. So I'm hoping that that's not something that comes up again near the end. Hot take, this book is full of conflict. It is riddled with conflict. We don't need more of it at the end. I hope that it is, I don't know, one of them sharing a secret and the other person being like, oh, I hate that, for maybe a night, and then them coming together and realizing that they're perfect together, because they are. I'm not sure what Will's hiding. They both have secrets that they haven't told each other and that they haven't told me, the reader, and I'm very curious what those secrets are, and I hope they are worth the secrecy. There's nothing worse than when a book is like, oh, I just can't tell you, it's just too much, I can't tell you, and then you learn and you're like, man, that was stupid. I've only read a few books by Christina Lauren, maybe 3. It's reminding me of, is it called Love in Other Words? Is that the book I'm thinking of? I don't know, I'll have to look it up. But maybe the writing is kind of reminding me of that, I'm not sure, but I'm enjoying it. So yeah, I have to eat my words from before I started, but maybe it's because I came in with such low expectations that I'm feeling better about it. I'm not sure. Was that English? I'm talking too fast. 30 pages left and I'm frustrated. There's being human and then there's being a dipshit. I'm just hoping it plays out in a way that doesn't make me hate this. Let's recap Meet Me at the Lake. I surprisingly really enjoyed this book. I don't think I have too much more to add other than what I said, pretty much because I gave you an update close to the end, I feel like. I think I was annoyed at the end, and I am sticking to that annoyance. The last, I don't know, 50 pages of this book didn't hit for me. And that is arguably the most important part of the book, right? You gotta get hooked in the beginning and you gotta believe in the characters at the end. And it worked at the beginning. I didn't love the end of this book. I had favorite characters who are no longer my favorite characters. It's crazy how you can have a favorite character go to like, man, I really don't like this person and I would not have given them the grace that the characters in the book did. And I never got around to the Whitney best friend thing. I think she was a shitty friend. At some point, if you have this nostalgic history with someone, that's not enough to hold a friendship, and I still don't understand why they were friends. I think I already said that, so I'm not gonna hone in on it too much, but I think Whitney isn't very fair to Fern in the things that she wants, and I don't think she's a very good friend. I do think it's impressive to write a romance about 30-something-year-olds and have it be like a summer whirlwind, that's a hard word, and have it be a summer whirlwind oh my good gracious, and have it be a summer whirlwind relationship. God, at a resort. Like, it feels, there's a couple of Dirty Dancing references in the book and it feels like that, but they're in their 30s. I think that that's quite a feat to be able to accomplish that. Leading into the end, I was thinking, man, this is a 4-star book that I did not expect to like. That is crazy. And now I'm thinking like 3.5. I'm gonna say 3.5 because the rest of the book was good. I don't regret reading it. I really did enjoy everything up to that point. I enjoyed the writing, which I'm not surprised about because a lot of people love her writing. It's so funny because I think I said at one point it reminds me of a Christina Lauren book, but maybe a little bit better written. Someone compares one of her other books to being a ripoff of Love in Other Words, and I thought this kind of reminds me of Love in Other Words. I feel like the relationship between our main characters feels the same as that relationship to me.
Hey, editing Carla here. I listened to myself talk about Meet Me at the Lake, and I realized most of the things I was talking about were kind of unfinished at the end of the book. Multiple things were alluded to and kind of foreshadowed, and none of them really came to fruition. There's a lot of information that is not provided, even though the whole time you're expecting to get it. I don't know how I never noticed that when I was reading it, but as I'm listening to myself talk about this book from start to finish, there were a lot of unanswered questions and moments that everybody in the book knows about except for the reader, which is a bit strange. So add that to my review because that's weird.
That's book 2. Done. We're going to drop it off at the library when we go to walk the dogs now. But I did read the first chapter, the prologue of Brimstone, yesterday. That's all I read. And now my sister and brother-in-law are coming over tonight to play Mario Kart, and tomorrow Zach and I have a little date night. So not gonna get a lot of reading done, but I'm gonna try anyway because I loved Quicksilver. I'm that basic bitch that loved it. I know that some people think it was overrated or annoying, but I loved it. And I'm very excited to see where this one goes because the first book was all about the romantic tension. That was like a big part of the story, and now that tension kind of broke at the end of the book. I don't want to ruin too much. It's hard to talk about a sequel without ruining what happened at the end of the first one. But this book's not going to be about that romantic tension. You can already tell. And what's really interesting is the first book is only from Sarris's point of view. And this one, I'm already starting with someone else's point of view. So that's really interesting to me. I wonder if it's just dual. Yes. yes, I'm getting the vibe that it is just a dual POV. Did I rate the first book 5 stars? I did. I rated Quicksilver 5 stars. I don't think I regret it. I think I stand by it. After I read the first book, I thought maybe I should buy these, but then when I was browsing at the library, they had it. So kind of a no-brainer to keep going with the series from the library. Probably won't get much reading done today. It's already 3:30 and we gotta walk the dogs. I gotta make dinner, hang out with my sister, probably watching an episode of Survivor in between there somewhere if we can get away with it. But I'll give you an update when and if I have one. It's a few days later, and unfortunately I'm averaging about 2 chapters a day of Brimstone. I am just about to start chapter 7. I just read 2 chapters while I had a coffee after work. I'm not feeling entirely connected to the characters right now or the storyline, but it kind of seems like more of the same from the first book, but maybe just higher stakes. I don't know. I'm just not obsessed with what's happening so far. And I know I'm less than 100 pages into like a 700-page book, so obviously there's a little bit more that I need to get in depth before I feel things. I get that. So I'm not totally into it yet, but I am very restless, and it is on Spotify. I think I'm gonna walk the dogs while listening to the audiobook and then maybe do some house stuff. I'm quite restless. So I have 3.5 hours until I have to leave the house. So I'll probably listen while I make dinner. That is a dog getting my tripod. So I'll probably listen while I walk the dogs, clean the house a little bit, make dinner, do all of the things. I think maybe that's what will be necessary for me to get more into it, and then hopefully I get to a point where I want to finish it, because I'm hoping to finish it by this weekend so that I don't have to renew it again. I think this is always what happens with the second book in a trilogy. Like 50% of the time, maybe I shouldn't say all the time, but a lot of the time, the second book in a trilogy really takes some getting into. Hopefully I'm changing my tune the next time you hear me. Let's do a little book update, shall we? I am now halfway. I'd say that's almost exactly halfway. Just starting chapter 24. And honestly, I have listened to the audiobook and not read it since my last update. And I'm really enjoying the audiobook. At first I didn't like it, but I feel like that always happens where I just need to get used to the narrators. Part of the thing that I'm loving is even though there is a little description of how to pronounce things at the beginning, it's really nice hearing them pronounced anyway. Because even with that, I was saying it's Taladaeus. I was saying, what was I saying in my head? Taladius? I don't know, but I really like him as a character, I gotta say. I wish there was a little bit more of him. I'm still not totally sold on the premise of this book. Honestly, I think could be more exciting. I'm not sure, but I do think it's cool because it's bringing together like The Hobbit, Mortal Instruments, ACOTAR. There's just like a bunch of stories kind of brought together, which I really love. And something else I'm really liking is the characters. Even though I don't love their storylines and the plot of the story as a whole, I am loving these unlikely characters becoming friends. Basically, there's a few forced proximity situations going on, and I always love that, but especially for friendships. Not always romance, right? This is just a lot of people coming together with a common goal, and they just kind of have to like each other. It's different than Found Family because they are really pairing off, which I really appreciate. I think it's so much fun. Oh, I also should say, as much as I like that it's multiple narrators, I still prefer the single POV of the first book. And I think I mostly feel that way because I just read Meet Me at the Lake and it was single POV and I didn't really know what was going on in the guy's head. Also, just like as much as I like Kingfisher as a main character, he's still a man. And some of the things that are in his POV I could do without, but I understand why it's necessary because they're not together for this whole book. There's a lot of split up time, so I get it. I just preferred when he left and came back and just kind of told her what happened. Yeah, for the storyline itself, there's just some stuff happening at the war camp specifically that I am not really interested in because I feel like it's kind of dragging on something that should have maybe been concluded in the first book. I don't want to say too much, again, because it's a sequel. Just a few of the plot lines from the first book I think maybe could have been adapted a little bit more or stopped there and something fresh started. 2 new characters actually just came in, so I'm excited to see where that goes. But I am going to switch to reading it now. I just finished my work day. I'm going to make myself a little coffee, have a little snack. Another reason that I want to stop listening to the audiobook is fantasy books spice scenes just are a little bit more cringy, in my opinion, in general. When you're listening to it on audiobook, I was like physically cringing. So I feel like there's more of that coming, and I just need to be able to read it rather than listen to these voice actors do it while I'm working. It just is a little much sometimes, the word choice used in these scenes specifically. Not always my favorite. I finished it. I listened to this book 90% on audiobook. I read, like I said, the first 66 pages and maybe the last 60. I am so torn. I'm so torn. The end almost raised my rating because I've been sitting here thinking this is a 3-star because every time I go to pick up the book and read it physically, I miss the audiobook and I want to be doing something else. I could just be restless, but I also think it's just kind of messy. I love all of the characters and how many characters there are and how many storylines there are. I really love Foley, one of our new characters. I wish there was more of him, but I continually wish there was more of everybody. I think the problem with going from single POV to dual POV is that it just embeds you more in Fisher and Sarah's storyline, and I didn't really feel like I needed to be embedded into that more. I wanted to know the characters around them more and their friends and all of the people that are in their lives. And there's especially something really big that happens at the end of this book with a specific character, and I think it's supposed to be like a surprise, a bit of a plot twist. We hardly saw that character, so I didn't really care. I didn't feel what they felt for this person or towards this person. So I am struggling with that part a little bit. But then the end is crazy, and I'm so excited for the third book, which I think is coming out next year. Maybe there were too many characters for not being from other people's point of view. Maybe that's actually the problem. I'm just kind of confused, and part of it's probably my fault for listening to the audiobook and maybe not being 100% there every time. It just was kind of a miss for me, and I'm really sad about that because I did love a lot of aspects of the book. I feel like it just didn't come together cleanly, and part of that's probably because I gave Quicksilver a 5-star and I loved it so much, and so I had very high expectations for this book and it didn't really meet them. So I am sticking to a 3-star. As much as the end blew my mind a little bit and was very exciting, it just didn't hit the way I wanted it to altogether. Maybe I'll add, Saris herself needs a bookmark. If you know, you know. What are you doing without a bookmark? And she's kind of stupid sometimes, but then she recognizes that she's stupid and it kind of saves it. So I do like her as a main character. And Fisher too, I like him as well. I feel like we just spent too much time with them given everything else that was going on that maybe was more important than yet another spice scene between the two of them. 3 stars is my final rating on that book. But I am very excited for the third book and I am still going to read it. That closes off this reading vlog. If this vlog taught me anything, it's maybe stop getting T. Kingfisher books from the library and buy them because I seem to love them, though I am planning a trip to the library tomorrow. Another browse when I bring this back just to see what I can find. And I know that if they have 1 or 2 T. Kingfisher books, I will probably pick them up anyway. I'm gonna close this off. I'm gonna say thanks for coming. I will be putting down the camera and then starting my next reading vlog right away because I feel like reading a book that hopefully I like a little bit better than this one. So I may as well just start right away. Come back next week if you want to see that. It might be the week after. I'm not sure when I'm gonna post it. Anyway, bye.